what it is like to be a targeted individual and what it means. I've been in the program since the 90s, and mine started out as MKULTRA after having a great advertising idea campaign for the local largest corporation of where I lived in insurance. So basically, I wound up having the person who wanted to profit and others profit, all his lawyer and judges friends and doctors and stuff, marry into our family for this, because he was so afraid, like an artist or a writer or any kind of artistic type of person generally has a signature type differentiating them from other people. So not only did he marry into my family to do this, but he also wanted to shame our family and myself. And the program was basically the American woman, the American family, and the American people are too ugly for their ideas. So that is the symbolism behind all of this. So I was put under 24-hour surveillance. I was set up with street theater. I was gang stalked. And at one point, I even tried to commit suicide, which failed because my mother found me, who also wound up being targeted. And my father was targeted as well, but I did not know all of this and put it all together till it was too late. So this guy viciously went after my entire family to steal from my family. And so the things that go on with this is absolutely atrocious. After waking up and realizing that the man I worked for was my handler at the university I worked at, after waking up and trying to get away from him and creating my own business, which I advertised for, he basically targeted me very, very hard with the use of drugs, medical, complete terroristic acts. Also, my mother went missing and was beat up. I couldn't get her back unless I agreed to close my business. All of these things. And it happened, a lot of bad things happened really fast and in front of a lot of people, to the point they pretty much made it obvious that I was targeted. But nobody at the time knew about this kind of stuff. And I became fully awake in the year 2012 without definitions or words for this. I went down the rabbit hole and got the definitions and words and started meeting other targeted individuals in 2014. The only thing I could tell people was all these bad things are happening to me, and the reason I'm slandered and you're contacted on my jobs and all this is because I had a great idea, and this guy is a corporate lawyer and a corporate former CFO that put me on the list. So the police are involved, EMTs are involved, firemen are involved, anybody that works for the state. So basically I was the enemy of the state. So, but during my time as an MKUltra slave, basically at the university I worked at, we heavily, basically inflated the grades. We were a degree mill. So that was another thing they wanted to cover up, was the millions they made off passing people who can barely read and write that were teaching your children. But now after the election and all of this that has come about, it is now known that school teachers and so forth may not be the high caliber people and the best at basically educating the American children. So all of that has come about. And now it's almost full circle and people are awakening to all of this. For so many years, I was trampled on and called crazy. And basically, if you mention any of this, you're a pariah or like a leper. So, yeah, targeted individuals, MKULTRA subjects, corporate whistleblowers, all of that, truly, truly know the meaning of Jesus. So, I am recording this because I want people to know my story a little bit without having to go into a lot of great details, because I wrote a book under a different name, Angelique Martinez or Martin. And of course, with books, you have to have somebody really truly go in and edit them, write them to make them better for publishing and all that. So it was never, I haven't heavily advertised it. I've given it away. I've described everything from beginning to end. I'm, of course, still on the list. My last big targeting was working in a medical type situation at a vision center, where my boss, who was turned against me, a person I very much liked, was turned against me, and I was targeted in that manner, where she outright blatantly had me gang stalked. So in front of everybody, and people pretty much know what gang stalking is because she used kids and thought it was great for her own personal targeting. So since that has happened, I think people are aware now, and gang stalking is out there, defining it and all that, and the things they do on thousands of websites. So now even small time hicks in the middle of nowhere try to use these tactics to terrorize people on the job or whatever. And I found that out at this place I worked at, that I wasn't the first to be gang stalked. And they're proud of it. And this corporation is one of the renownedly known worst corporations for these things. And so now all of this has pretty much come about. And I'm happy to see that it's no longer for Ozzy and Harriet to sit back and go, these things don't happen, you're in America. So now it's all coming out, especially after the election. And finally, Ozzy and Harriet and the very blessed Americans who don't have this going on in their lives are finally maybe getting a glimpse of the truth. And hopefully this stuff will turn around. So that's my quick video about this. My story was before 9/11, and the 24-hour surveillance and all that was while I was working in, and still is, but when I was working in TV and radio, and I worked in a control room, so I know exactly how people are and what they see when they're surveilling you. For I was working in videotaping classes and know basically what it's like to be on the other side of the camera and microphone and surveilling people. So people who do this actually do gain probably somewhat a God complex, because they're actually able to see in on human behavior. So I was one of the first human experiments. And now the world has woke up to the fact that everything that's electronic in our house could be used as a way of surveilling them. So I'm glad to see it has become full circle and people see it. But in my case, my surveillance was to use me as a human experiment. Of course, you never can be right, because they could surveil you down to every choice you make is wrong. So that way the people around you will go, well, you shouldn't have done that. Now you see what happens when you do that. Well, you're being controlled and the outcome is being controlled. And that is part of this scientific psyops program that they do. And it started on a small scale, but now they've pretty much got us all under this psyops program at some point, at some level. So there are tons of people involved. They are on the payroll, and it goes way back further than 911. And the universities and military bases, all of them are heavily involved. Where I'm from, it is home of Fort Benning, and has several universities. Most of mine that were involved in my targeting and so forth was university instructors, PhDs, people heavily deep into various corporations, education, you name it. So mine involved those type of people who wanted to be admired for something really they're not. So there's my story in a nutshell. I will post this on my timeline and hope that this is spread and letting people know exactly really the truth behind it all. You truly as American people truly are extremely hated by these people in your government, and they are all through every aspect of anything that's especially large, like corporations and organizations and universities and hospitals. So I hope this helps. Thank you so much.